that task. Well, let's go to Glasgow. Our environment correspondent, Navin Singh Khadka, is there at the summit. Navin, from outside, we're hearing young protesters saying it's all talk. But do you think that some of that talk has yielded significant results so far?
It depends who you ask this question to. If you talk, if you ask this with people who were here making those announcements, they would say that, yeah, it's really big, really great going, solid achievements. But if you spoke to critics, including those campaigners out there, youths, what they say is they're just announcements and they hardly mean anything. Someone even call it a blitz of announcements. So the real thing is how would they implement, and also equally importantly is how would these announcements blend with the real UN's negotiating system. That remains to be seen.
When you hear announcements such as John Kerry, the US climate envoy, saying, I think I'm going to be talking with Russia about cutting methane, I suppose that's where the real practical decisions are made.
You're right. There are definitely science has proven that if we did that, methane is a huge thing. But it's not just about methane. There are so many other things. And even when it comes to methane, of course, some mechanisms have been talked about, but who will do it, how much, and who will verify? These are details. And then also, apart from methane, there are other stories like finance. Developing countries are saying that still talking about 2023. Tell us now, we need to plan in advance. So climate finance is a huge thing, and they're saying most of your focus is on reducing carbon, but not on adaptation. We need to live with it, minimize the damages. And these issues are still yet to be thrashed out.
And quite a lot of progress will depend on China. What's your sense of where China's at in the international efforts to combat climate change?
So definitely their president's absence here is a huge concern, and that being criticized. And also not to forget, the plan they have submitted is more or less what they had submitted years ago. So there is already a criticism. But then also the bigger context here is the energy crisis. That kind of has plagued China, as we know, as is the case with so many other countries. So energy crisis is something for big polluters, big markets, big economies. You have to face your domestic market and also simultaneously face the international forum. So understandably, that is a big, huge juggling thing. And then there is a huge concern about the crisis. As a result, this has been impacted. It remains to be seen how will they thrash it out in the next week during the negotiations.
Navin, we've been talking about some of the big challenges. I want to ask you, is there anything that's happened there this week that's made you feel really hopeful?
Well, as I said, the thing is here, there are two things here. Whatever has been announced, if those things get space in the real UN systems negotiation, these are slightly different things. The UN system is a bit different thing where, nothing is agreed unless everyone has agreed. Now that thing is yet to emerge. So COP26 President Alok Sharma has said that challenges are now emerging. That's what he meant. He meant that there are voices that are not happy, and those will resurface during the real negotiation within the UN system. So whatever has been announced and that UN system of negotiation, will they blend or will they part ways? That is what we're looking at.
Navin Singh Khadka, thanks very much for getting us up to date on a very complex process.